Welcome to the Best Sports Betting Podcast, where we'll talk about reviews, previews, tips and all things betting related. Brought to you by bestsportsbetting.co.za. Now, on to our hosts.
How's it, punters? Welcome back to the Best Sports Betting Podcast, or the Worst Sports Betting Podcast if you're following my tips. With me as always is Simon. Simon, a bit of a mixed bag last week. I think your bets did okay. You were on the right side of the rugby. I was not. I got that one completely wrong. My EPL bets also kind of went through a bit of an upset. So the betting week wasn't great for me last week.
Yeah, it got off to a good start for me because I was with Man City on the Asian handicap. They ended up beating Villa 2-0, so we cashed on that one, on the minus 1.5. But although I was on the right side with the Bulls, they didn't cover the 8.5, so we actually ended up losing that bet. So as you said, a bit of a mixed bag. But I think probably the biggest talking point, I guess, from the EPL would be Liverpool's 1-0 home loss to Burnley, ending their 68-game unbeaten run at Anfield, which is quite incredible. Yeah,
it was a bit of a shock, to be honest, and I had them in a treble, and that was the one leg that I kind of felt was safe. Mm-hmm. I mentioned the United leg was the one I was worried about, and that one came in quite comfortably. But yeah, bit of a shock for Liverpool. It's going to be interesting to see them taking on Spurs, which we'll chat about a little bit later. But also, just going back to the Premier League, Frank Lampard got sacked by Chelsea yesterday. So
yes, yeah,
pretty interesting news coming out there. What do you think about? I think it's probably overdue, but I mean, you know, I don't think my opinion really counts to how Chelsea run their football club. But yeah, I think it's a bit excessive.
I think it's a bit of a funny time to make the decision, to be honest. I agree with you. I think it could have happened a little earlier, but
earlier or later, I think would have been.
I don't think it's the right time. I mean, this is really where you really want to build towards the end of the season, and I just think, you know, with a new manager, look, often results turn around quite quickly with a new manager, but I just think this is maybe not the right time to sort of be upsetting the apple cart. So I find it quite an interesting decision. But just to go quickly back to Liverpool, I mean, they did look much better in their 3-2 loss against Man United, which we probably should have previewed last week, and that was in the EFL Cup. But I don't know if you saw much of that, Rob. But I mean, Mo Salah looked much better.
Yeah, scored 2 goals in the game.
So. Yeah, looked much more like his old self. And Mane and Firmino also played better. But I think to reignite that chemistry, they're going to need to really find goal scoring form. And also, yes. I mean, they just look in desperate need of a good centre back. I mean, since losing Virgil van Dijk, I just think there's so much space at the back for opponents to kind of run all over them. So I think there's lots of work to be done for Liverpool.
Yeah, and it's definitely something to consider in your bets moving forward. And then onto the NFL, we've got our Super Bowl. The 2 teams have been decided. It's going to be, we're going to have the Bucs taking on the Chiefs. And also some upsets last week. We saw the Packers losing to the Bucs, and I was on the Packers side. I was supporting them there. I thought Rodgers would pull it through, but Brady came through, and quite an upset there in my opinion. And then we had the Chiefs beating the Bulls 38-24, so quite a comfortable win for them.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I had a very late Sunday night, staying up to watch the first game, at least, the Packers play the Bucs. Yeah, I mean, any NFL fans living in South Africa will know. Yeah, watching the sport doesn't come without some long nights.
Those 7-8 o'clock games are bliss. Those are
yeah, well, I mean, even those, yeah, exactly. Those are ending sort of midnight.
Yes.
So that's the earliest you're generally going to finish watching NFL is around midnight. But any game that starts later than lunchtime on the East Coast in the US is ending much later than that. But yeah, I'm glad I stayed up for that one because it was actually a really good game against with the Buccaneers coming through. And then obviously we have the Chiefs, who easily put away the Bulls, 38-24. I thought that was a much bigger margin than I thought, by 2 touchdowns. But overall, I think the Chiefs have played many more close games this season than they did last season when they won the Super Bowl. But at the same time, I kind of can't say I'm surprised to see them sort of dominate the business end of the season. So they're looking very good in their run up to the Super Bowl. And we'll talk a little bit about we'll give a little preview of that final. But I think it was obviously that was the upset was the Bucs beating Green Bay, but Chiefs and Bucs should be a good final.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I think I'll see if I can catch that one. It's probably going to be about 3 a.m. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a rough one, but it should be worth it. And then we also have the Cape Town Met taking place this week. We're going to look at doing another video for that one, just looking at some of the odds. It's been a very quiet build-up to the Met this year. We weren't sure what the Met was going to be called. It was called the Sun Met for the last couple of years. Before that was the J&B Met. And only about a week or two ago, it was kind of officially announced as the Cape Town Met by Cape Racing, which is, I'm assuming, the racing board that's the organizer. So, no big sponsorship this year. Which kind of takes away from the Mets. You usually see, all these awesome TV adverts. Even last year when Corona was kind of just starting, they had a big thing. And the Durban July was pretty well advertised. So it's surprising that the Met is kind of, flying in under the radar, which is a little difficult when it comes to finding information about exactly what's going on with the race.
Yeah, I agree, Robert. It really has gone under the radar this year, and obviously racing, especially these kind of calendar highlights, obviously are always sort of crowd spectacles, and it's also a real time for advertisers to try and cash in. So obviously having a virtual event like the July or the Met is very different to some other events. But look, I mean, there's still betting nonetheless, and we obviously we've published a couple of articles talking about the betting odds and reviewing the race and so on. So we should our listeners should definitely go and check those out on the Best Sports Betting website too.
Yeah, awesome. And hopefully it's a good one. We'll see if we can get a video up if there's enough out there for us to warrant something. It's just the final field is very small this year by the looks of it. But moving on to something else. There's also a new game that's been launched, Bet Games, Rock, Paper, Scissors. It's a casino game, Simon. I know you're very familiar with Bet Games. I know this game's not available in South Africa and you haven't seen it yet, but it's very different from the other bet games you'd find. Basically, you're playing rock, paper, scissors against a dealer. And you get 6 different choices. You get rock, paper, scissors on the left side, rock, paper, scissors on the right side. So you have 2 different boxes you can bet. And you basically have to beat the dealer's card. So you bet on, let's say, rock, and the dealer pulls the scissors, then your bet's going to win. But if you bet on rock and the dealer deals a paper, paper, then your bet will lose. So it's quite interesting. We're going to be doing a video about that as well. I think it warrants something by itself just because of how different it is.
And so what are the odds then on a correct call?
So that's what I need to actually look into. I was playing it briefly yesterday, and from what I could see, the odds weren't great. I'm going to have to look closer into it. I'm also going to have to look into the odds of actually winning rock, paper, scissors, because there are going to be odds on that. What are the odds of beating someone? And what's interesting about this is it removes the psychological element to the game. Mm-hmm. So if I'm playing rock, paper, scissors against you, I'm kind of double thinking, trying to think what Simon, is he going to pull a rock? Is he going to pull what's he been doing? And you don't have that against the dealer. So it makes for quite an interesting experience, and we'll chat a bit more about that in another video. But it's something you guys should check out. We did post a little screenshot on that on our YouTube community, so go check that out if you want to see what the game looks like. But let's go back into some sports, Simon. Some Premier League. We've got some Premier League taking place tonight. A lot of Premier League taking place over the next couple of days, actually. And I have some key matches that I have highlighted. I've got the Chelsea match that I fancy, and when they take on Wolves without Frank Lampard, and I have United against Sheffield, and then obviously the big one is going to be Spurs versus Liverpool. Are there any matches on the card that kind of stood out to you?
It's good to get a full slate of Premier League action in the midweek. As you said, games tonight, tomorrow, and Thursday. I think we should probably take a look at a couple on the week and then on the weekend, seeing that it's kind of a double game week. So, for me, in the midweek, Everton Leicester looks the pick of the midweek games, and I actually quite like a draw here at 23-10. And I know it's obviously not necessarily the tip that many of our listeners will want, but I think Leicester missing Jamie Vardy due to injury, and Everton also playing fairly well again, means this will be quite a tight encounter. I think under 2.5 goals at 17-20 also looks a good bet for this one, with obviously Leicester's sort of talisman out of action.
Yeah, that does look a good bet, and they have been relying heavily on Vardy this season. Lots of goals, but Everton, me betting on Everton is just asking for trouble. Like, I'll bet on unders and they'll score 4 goals. I'll bet on overs and it'll be 0-0. It's one of those bogey teams for me. I honestly don't even enjoy watching them that much, just because whenever I watch them, it just literally does. I know it's like a fallacy, but it just doesn't go my way. So it's one of those teams I just completely tend to avoid betting on. But I like the draw there. On paper, these teams are fairly evenly matched. I think I give Everton the edge there. I don't think there's going to be value in the double chance. Maybe the draw no bet Everton, but I still think your draw is a good pick there.
Yeah.
And the unders. I don't fancy there's going to be too many goals from Leicester in the game. So maybe Leicester unders, but I'm staying away from anything to do with Everton for now. And then I highlighted the Chelsea match. They're taking on Wolves. Now, I think you're getting a pretty decent price on Chelsea at, I haven't really shopped around, but at 1.62, 1.65 around there. They're a better team than Wolves. Wolves had a good start to the season. I think it's kind of slipping now. I feel Chelsea are going to get some decent results. This is one of the teams that, regardless of who's managing them, that Chelsea should be beating Wolves. Chelsea's form isn't completely dire, and I just think this price is a bit too good to turn down, especially considering Lampard has just left it, and that usually galvanizes the team one way or another. Yeah,
I mean, that's absolutely right, especially with managerial changes. It either goes really up, really good, or really bad generally, especially the first couple of weeks. I can't disagree with you there.
And I'm not taking that bet as a single. I'm going to be including that in a very boring square double with Manchester United, who are taking on Sheffield. And they should beat Sheffield. You're not going to get great odds. You're getting, 1.25 around there. But you combine those two together, and I think you'll have a fairly competitive bet. You're getting 2.1. That's not even shopping around. So I think you can probably improve that significantly. But that's going to be my 2 bets on the other game, or the kind of normal games of the week. And then we have the Spurs versus Pool. And I have a bet there as well, Simon.
Okay, well, you go ahead, Rob, and then I can give you my breakdown.
Yeah, so I was just having a look at all the different stats and how things have been going. And Spurs are on a pretty decent run at the moment. I think it's 8 games unbeaten in all different leagues. And I think only one of those were a draw. 1 or 2 of those were a draw. Facing a Liverpool team that, you said, Salah's coming back into form. They're looking a bit better there, but they are not where they should be. And I think Tottenham are on the rise. I think they're potentially challengers, and I think the 3.2 that you're getting on Spurs is a little bit crazy, and that kind of tends me to lean towards Spurs double chance or draw no bets, whichever you fancy. The draw no bet you're getting 2.3 on, without shopping around, and even the double chance you should be able to get around 7 to 10 if you shop around, which I think is pretty good for that match.
Sure. Well, I was going exactly down the same road, Rob. I mean, I think the North Londoners will fancy their chances more than ever here. Just obviously Liverpool being in the form that they are, and the fact that Liverpool have absolutely dominated this fixture, I think, is playing a lot into the odds here. Over the past 4 years, they haven't beaten them home or away. That said, Liverpool looks very short at 12 to 10. I think Mourinho will be more than happy to play for a point here, and sort of maintain his position at the top of the league table. So although I don't have a strong selection for this game, I wouldn't rush into backing Spurs. I think that 12 to 10 on Liverpool is a very short price, even though they do have an excellent record against Spurs. So I must say I was quite surprised when I saw this. But it's also at the back of my mind. It's just obviously the way that they tend to play against Spurs and dominate them. But I think if you're going to get with the side here, it has to be Spurs, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's more of a bet against Liverpool than kind of just a bet on the Spurs. I'm just looking at more Liverpool recent form, and I feel Spurs should be reliable enough at home. As you said, the points probably going to be the shared points is probably going to be the outcome here.
Yeah.
I do feel that Spurs could edge it, and I just think this price is completely nuts. That's the only reason that I'm actually having a bet. If I found the teams were closer to similar prices on both sides, which I feel they should be, then I would probably not get involved at all. But I'm just taking this for value's sake. Also, under 2.5 is over even money, so that's also something to consider. There's lots of value that you can get kind of looking at this match. I mean, under 3.5 goals is 1.4, and that's also once again not shopping around. So, I mean, that's not a bad price.
Mourinho's history of
parking the
bus in these kind of fixtures. I know it's sort of such a cliche, but really, as you say, I think unders does look a little inflated to me.
Yeah. But I'm going to stick with my double chance on Spurs. And let's jump on to the Super Bowl. Simon, Super Bowl's taking place in a couple of weeks. It's going to be Tampa taking on the Chiefs. The spread is around 3.5. Tampa is the underdog. Chiefs about 1.5 straight up around there. What are your thoughts here? Easy win for the Chiefs?
Well, let's get to that. I just to break it down a little bit further before we start. I mean, this is it's the Bucs' first Super Bowl championship since 2003 when they beat the Raiders, who were then called the Oakland Raiders. They're now the Las Vegas Raiders. And it's funny to see this number because there are a couple of factors I think which are clearly working in Tampa Bay's favor, but at the same time, I just don't think it's justified. I think. Bruce Arians, the head coach of the Bucs, he's giving Tom Brady like full reign to play how he wants to. Under Bill Belichick, when Brady was playing for the Patriots, he had a lot of agency. Don't get me wrong, more than your average quarterback.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
But for sure. But Bruce Arians is letting him make the calls whenever he wants to. For those who don't know, usually the quarterback will call an offensive play in the huddle, and then which will be after hearing it through his earpiece from the coach. But Brady's calling a lot of audibles, which is where the quarterback sort of overrides the play call from the coach.
Yeah, so audible play is basically an on-field call.
Yes, and changing the play because of the way the defense is lined up. So, with this much freedom for Brady, I think you can thrive under those conditions. It's obviously putting a lot of trust in the quarterback, which can be risky, but in the case of Tom Brady, it's obviously a risk worth taking, and it gives the team a lot more flexibility and helps them play more dynamically. I think that this is a good place for Tampa Bay to be, and obviously having Brady is a game changer. That said, one more huge advantage. An advantage, shall we say, is that the Super Bowl is being played and in Tampa Bay. So, unlike in a lot of other sports where the venue depends on who's playing, in the NFL, the Super Bowl venue is decided before the season even starts.
It's the same as you'd find in like the Europa League or
exactly.
Champions League. The final's always going to be in Madrid or it's going to be in Italy or Milan,
Yeah, so, in this year, in a season, where nobody really expected the Bucs to, or maybe make the playoffs, but certainly not get this far, they just happen to be playing at their home stadium. Their home stadium will be a third full, so there'll be 22,000 fans. So, obviously not quite the home advantage that you would have in a normal season, outside of a pandemic. All that said, I am nothing short of flabbergasted, honestly, by this line set at -3. I think it should be at least 6. The media narrative. We just talked about some of those factors, and especially when it comes to handicapping sports, and especially in America, these kind of stories strongly influence people's opinions, and that goes for sports, it goes for politics, it goes for everything really. And it'll probably be Tom Brady's last Super Bowl. I mean, he's 43 years old, which is ancient for a quarterback. Yeah. Just to put it into perspective, I actually heard this morning. I found it fascinating. Patrick Mahomes, who's the Kansas City Chiefs quarterback, was only 6 years old when Brady won his first Super Bowl.
Wow. 6 years old. And now so he was 6 years old and now he's playing against the...
Yeah, so he's playing again. Yeah, it's nuts. So anyway, so the chances of Brady obviously playing another season and then, maybe that's 50-50, say. And then for Tampa Bay to reach another Super Bowl is obviously much higher. So, I'm willing to put my neck out and say this is his last chance to win a Super Bowl. I honestly think it's about a 99% chance that he won't get here again. So, that all said, I still think that, the Kansas City Chiefs are better than the Bucs in every position except for quarterback. And when I say except for quarterback, I think you also need to consider Patrick Mahomes is definitely Brady's equal. Even though he was a rookie only 4 years ago. He smashed every record there is to break in the NFL. First NFL player to get 30 completions and 300 passing yards in 4 games. He's also the first to have 5 games with at least 400 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. So this guy's just like an absolute anomaly. He is. And obviously Brady, you can say the same for Brady. But my point is that I just think 3 points is not big enough, not a big enough handicap. And I think the bookmakers have set this line knowing that the public are going to pile into the Bucs and the Tom Brady narrative. All these factors that I just told you about. They're going to get emotional and they're going to bet with their head or their heart instead of their head. So I think what they're thinking is by keeping it at a field goal at 3 points, they'll get more balanced action overall. But
yes.
I think the sharp bettors are going to absolutely pile into the Chiefs. And you can already see this number moving to -3 at some places. So as I said, I expected this to open at -6. So to see -3 is an absolute gift. So I honestly don't say this very often, but beg, borrow, or steal, take this bet on the Chiefs -3.
So what do you think the kind of limit is on the -5.5? How far would you be willing to push that line?
I said, so I wouldn't take it at more even 6 would be pushing it. I don't think it's going to get there. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's going to get to 6. It'll probably maybe get to 4. Maybe I don't think it'll get further than 4. But honestly, anything under, because 7 is obviously a key number in NFL, but 6. Things often land on 6. Obviously, when field goals aren't scored, extra points aren't scored, that number often comes into play as well. So, look, anything under 6, I think, is great. But as I said, I just can't see this game falling under a touchdown. And you can actually, there's even a 6-10 available right now on a straight Chiefs win. And this is one of those situations where you don't really want to take necessarily more than the 3 because it could well be close. And so you're probably getting a slightly better value actually on the money line than the handicap, in the sense that 3.5 is not a great number to take. So you can get the 3 at like 1.8 or so, 8 to 10, I would take it. But the money line also at 6 to 10 is really good. I think it's honestly one of the most solid bets I've seen in a while.
Well, you get. I'm looking over on Sunbet, and they've got those teaser props. They've got a nice little slider that you can set your own handicap on the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at Chiefs -2.5 at 1.68, which seems pretty decent as well. And if I'm looking at 3.5 -3.5, I'm getting 1.97 over on Sunbet.
Yeah. So obviously going through the number of 3, you're going to get a huge jump in the odds. But if you think about it, so that you got to ask yourself, so 1.68 for a minus 2.5 or 6 or 1getting for a straight win. To me, the 1.6 for a straight win is probably actually the better bet there because you're getting slightly worse odds, but 2.5 points is 2.5 points. So a straight bet on the Chiefs I think is a good option. If you can get the -3 at something close to even money, also good. But I honestly think that the media hype is all over Brady, and obviously it would be fantastic to see him win this and so on. But I just think that the bookmakers are being clever here. They know the action's going to come for Brady, and so they're putting the line where it is. But the Chiefs look a solid bet to me.
Okay, so take the Chiefs. I'm busy looking now, and over on Sunbet I'm getting 1.55. I'm going to have to shop around to see if I can find any of that 1.6. But there's also lots of props that we're going to be talking about, I think, next week. You've got a whole lot of different props available at South African bookmakers. They've really, really upped their game over the last couple of years after starting from a nice NFL point, and then they kind of regressed, and then they kind of got to a much better point. But we'll chat about that in our kind of Super Bowl preview. And before we wrap up, Simon, we've got some cricket taking place. Pakistan in a couple of weeks. It's starting soon, isn't it? Actually,
it's actually
today.
Started this morning. Wow. Yeah. So,
that's me keeping up with the Test cricket, eh?
Yeah,
I hope it's Test cricket.
Yeah, it is. The first Test, SA Pakistan. It's in Karachi. Pakistan open like very slight favourites to win the first Test at about 12-10. Obviously, remember there's the draw gets played in there. Yes. So, and we won the toss and chose to bat, and right now we're sitting at, just have a quick look, 100 where are we now? 179 for 6. So not looking too great. I was hoping we would get to about 350.
Ooh, I'm looking at that as well.
I think that would probably be a good total. So not looking too good. We lost some Van der Dussen and Mark and Alga went out and Markram went out quite cheaply, and then Duplessis didn't exactly find an anchor for us either. So now it's looking a little bit hairy, I must say.
A little bit shaky.
Yeah. So I think we need to get to at least 300. So not looking too good so far. But yeah, we'll perhaps do a preview for the second Test match or something.
All right. Awesome. All right, guys. So remember to stay tuned for a couple of previews that we're going to have coming up. We're going to have the bet games. We're going to have a quick look at the Met and then the Super Bowl, and then maybe if we get a chance to look at the cricket as well. So Simon, thanks for joining me. And guys, we'll catch you in the next episode. You've heard our bets. Play with caution. Haven't been on a good streak recently. So yeah. But guys, thank you for tuning in and have a good one. Cheers.
Thank you for listening. And don't forget to visit our site, Facebook and Twitter pages. Let's go make some money.